Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Lord of the Rings, the adventure card game. So, I am shocked that in these encounters I actually defeated King of Carrion, but in defeating it, it only really proved that you still don't get any massive amount of rewards for that quest. It's basically just a really difficult single quest that gives you 1,000 fellowship points plus a few more points for if you do the bonus challenges and 500 bonus points for every time you do it with a new hero. Uh, so the last one to do is Gundabad Awoken. I did check the audio in the finishing now saga of my audio being messed up in the last recording, and I do believe I have it fixed. Although I do notice that I'm fairly certain I never turned down the music or the voice volume this way. It seems like just an odd way to adjust the volume. Plus you also have like narrative volume versus voice volume, which I'd have to assume that voice volume is actually the voices when playing the card game, where narrative volume is the the narration and the text in between gameplays, and then the music volume. So I'm going to leave everything just for consistency's sake as the same, but it does kind of feel like my microphone's a little too loud. So in the next series after this, I'll experiment with turning my microphone down a little bit. I've never had complaints, but in fairness, I don't get quite enough feedback on my videos anyway, so it may very well always be the case for any content creator that people just get bored and leave when there's an audio-visual problem versus there being a lack of quality content, which is the other reason why people might leave, amongst many other reasons. But yeah, the only time I've ever had anyone complain about my audio, I had to screw it up extremely badly, to the point where people were willing to put entire tirades in the comments. Anyways, that has nothing to do with this, so let's hop into the game and see if we can win too.
That in the distant mists of the First Age, Durin built the first forge of the dwarves within Mount Gundabad. Alas, in time, orcs seized control of the mountain stronghold. The dwarves drove them out repeatedly, yet the orcs always returned. Even unto the present day, their foul presence remains a constant blight upon the dwarves' sacred place. The threat of orcs, and worse, is on the rise once more. Gundabad swells with increasing numbers of orcs, evil men, and other miscreants. The corrupted fortress stirs with renewed purpose, though to just what purpose remains a mystery. Thranduil calls upon you. The Elven King needs brave souls to discover what draws the wicked to the desolate three-horned peak of Gundabad. You set forth at once. Soon you stand at the shore of the mighty Anduin, which surges south with melted snow. Your destination lies to the north, to the grey peaks that march along the horizon.
I suppose one thing I could say here, since I'm not even really paying attention to this, like orcs. I heard orcs. Okay. We're gonna fight orcs. Which really just highlights that I've lost any interest in Lord of the Rings adjacent content. But yeah, one thing I could say for any aspiring content creators out there, I have a rather old microphone, a Blue Yeti, which you can still get them, but I think Logitech owns Yeti as a company now, so who knows if the quality is even particularly good, although it may still be perfectly fine. But it does have a lot of knobs and dials for amplifying internally and then amplifying the headphone feedback. And then when you're using some recording software like OBS and Windows, there's potentially amplification or volume controls in OBS and volume controls in Windows or Mac OS. There's just a lot of knobs and dials, and perhaps it would be better to go there's a very popular Shure brand microphone that's kind of expensive, and it's not USB. There's a newer Rodecaster microphone that is both USB and the more music industry older standard of XLR balanced microphones. And then there's also a Rodecaster Pro 2 and a smaller version of the Rodecaster Pro 2 that would act as a acting soundboard. I think the Streamcaster is what it's called, and that also captures video. So while it would be a fairly big investment up front, a Streamcaster that could capture video potentially from a console might be helpful. Still not really going to let you record Nintendo content without Nintendo claiming everything you post and potentially destroying your channel with copyright claims. But if you already had a PlayStation or an Xbox, then using a Streamcaster to capture gameplay that way makes a decent amount of sense, on top of it being a soundboard with also some interactable buttons. But I don't want to turn this into an advertisement.
After a week's trek, you find a relatively safe place to cross one of the tributaries of the Anduin, the Greylin, which the Beornings call Coldclaw. In the trees ahead, flickering firelight and muttered conversation are evidence of an active, even jolly campsite. Still, you advance with caution. Men sprawl around the fire, joking and drinking. From the snatches of coarse speech that waft on the breeze, you glean that this band means to join others of its ilk in Gundabad. Thranduil did say more than just orcs are headed for Gundabad. All those with dark hearts feel its call. Some of the figures wear adornments that glint in the firelight. You recognize these sigils as belonging to a Rudar mercenary band. A plan begins to form. You would find a warmer welcome in Gundabad in the guise of brigands than as heroes of the Free Peoples. Not that these Rudarians will simply hand over their gear. Perhaps if you ask nicely. Unsheathing your weapons, you head into the clearing.
So, this art style here of just like in shadow and smudged would make a lot more sense if there was a ton more content in this game. I said in the last recording, if there was an editor that you could use in this game of some sort, at least that's what I was trying to say, that where you could make your own campaigns and upload it to the Steam workshop function, or just upload it to a proprietary online share your campaign service built into the game. If there was something like that, then having this generic art style would make a lot more sense. Otherwise, you just have a picture here that's not as detailed as it really should be, that is seemingly only going to be used once.
I will take the ring, though I do not know the way. What about second breakfast?
So,
Coming, Mr. Frodo. Coming.
story is we're gonna beat up these people and steal their clothes. Very standard. Interaction, I guess, is what you would call it. Okay. We can grant stealth to one character. We can subtract the cost to an attachment in our hand. We can grant 2 health to every character and lose 2 fate, which is returning patrol, is location specific. And then these other ones we want to keep somewhat of an eye out for. Although, I don't know if you really have to worry too much about any of these threat levels beyond to this point, because this deck is so well balanced that you just don't get a threat level going up that high. So we're supposed to defeat every enemy and don't let them escape. Can't resolve. This is timed, so you have to defeat every enemy in 4 turns. Which... okay. So... we'll start by reducing Sauron's resources. We'll put this guy in defense mode. Vanquish, gain guard. Unexpected courage. Okay. So we kill that one. And then I think you just attack this one a couple times. 2 damage to 1 random hero. So for the most part, this is just boiling down to -1 health, gain fleeting and stealth. If this unit flees, 3 random minions interplay next upkeep. Well, geez, I wish I had paid more attention to that. Because that's exactly what's going to happen. So now we're going to have 3 new people to have to deal with. Guess the good news might be that they aren't they don't all have fleeting and going for health, just this one, so. But I don't know how I'm gonna really win on this. If anything, I should have attacked the one with 1.
We'll not be taken for a surprise.
Well, I should have attacked for that one for 1 too, I guess. So immediately we're in trouble. Enough that I think it probably is worth it just to go to the main menu and start over.
Legend holds.
We'll skip the dialogue, start over again.
Death of you to come with me.
Must be someone with intelligence in the party.
Just like the last recording, it has proven that it's smarter to reset if you figure out a trick. Okay. So we've got to figure out a way to defeat this guy. I have no idea how to do that.
We shall break a good many things yet.
Alright, so that one's lost stealth, but I bet he gains it back. Don't know how to deal with this. It seems like it's just straight up impossible without building a specific deck around the idea of
We shall break a good many things yet.
destroying a attachment.
Charge! Looks like I've arrived none too soon.
Like, everybody has ranged. Grant going for help to one random enemy. At 0, your quest fails. Well, I don't think I can win. I really don't. You have 4 turns to kill everybody on the field, and with the current deck that has worked so well for everything else, there's just no way that's going to happen. No amount of the standard strategy of going in defense mode is going to change things. In fact, going into defense mode in this scenario is utterly pointless.
Well, I'm back.
Right. Let's go up and look at the cards. Like, obviously there is a card in this somewhere that you could do. But honestly, I just don't want to spend the energy on it to try and figure it out. Let's see. Unexpected courage. Okay, we would need... Yeah, there's really no way to filter here. Let's see if I could just type in search. Remove. Let's see. Remove pursuit from every enemy and restore true health to the character. When attacked would defeat a character, that character remains in play with 1 health. This is all the cards that seem to be including remove. So maybe the key phrase is actually destroy. There's nothing with destroy. Attach. We'll get more to the meat of it, I guess, in this case. Discard one random shadow attachment from one target. I don't know if these are really considered shadow attachments. Discard the next attachment that's Sauron plays. Which, I don't know if that would work either. But whatever. We will add one of these and one of these. But this is a level of insanity, to say the least. There seems to be absolutely no cards, even in this game, designed to let you destroy an attachment, which means then there's probably, unless it's under the realm of red, let's see. There's a couple more attachment cards. No attachments. Gain one random attachment. Alright. So that didn't change anything. So if it's not a matter of defeating the attachment, then it would be a matter of removing stealth. Which maybe there's something there around that. No, there's no card around stealth. I know I've seen cards that would let you destroy a minion. But maybe that was a special card? All sphere levels are being included. Every card. All. Nothing with minion in it. Only one thing with villain in it. Several cards with ally in it. There just really aren't any cards of this series that are designed to affect the enemy in the way I think you would need to affect the enemy. There's a few cards with hero in it. So it would be a little silly to say this is straight up impossible, but it does seem like it is extremely close to being straight up impossible.
It would be the death of you to come with me.
There must be someone with intelligence in the party.
Coming, Mr. Frodo! Coming!
And because you have 30 cards, you still have a pretty low chance of having any of the cards like this that I just added show up. But we did get one, so we'll try that. And there's the other. I guess this is technically a shadow attachment. Okay. So we play this. We destroy that shadow attachment. And then that potentially saves us for one turn. We'll also play this, and that'll save us for another turn, potentially. And then there's just no reason to put anything in defense mode, so we should just attack.
You show me the way up, or I'll skin you.
And I guess the move here is probably to weaken a lot of people. Set them up for, well, that was poor. So we just have these 4 to kill this next turn, but I only have enough to kill 3, really. No, this one's on stealth. Okay. Stalwart. Guess we'll get rid of that first. Suppose if there was a system here where I don't know what you really could have done here.
Run them down!
I got lucky and that killed that one. So we potentially can win the next turn. Not in the best position by any means. But whatever. Let's just get to the next section and see at least that next section. It might not be the worst idea to end the phase here, though, and set ourselves up. Let's do that. Let's give ourselves another round and hope that's not a mistake. See, he's only got like 1 resource, so. Store 4 to every hobbit. Wouldn't be terrible. Or 2 health in the block. What else are we gonna put in the defense mode? Potentially. I think this one's a good one to put in defense mode. This one's probably a good one to get some resources from. This one's a good one to get resources from. Do we want to put another one in defense mode? Okay, let's do that. 2 health to everybody. Reduce the threat level, travel. Why did everything all of a sudden get a resource?
Dressed in oddments of Rydo gear, mercenary sigils on full display, you march through the gates of Gundabad. Groups of goblins, orcs, and men surround you in a squabbling mass, one bad word away from outright violence. Worry grows with each step. This plan may have been less a clever ruse than outright insanity. Still, aside from the occasional glance your way, they pay you no mind. Mastering your fear, you stride amongst the enemy, doing your best to fit in. Straining to pass the mix of accents and bluster, you hear a word repeated more than once. Narvan. This may well be the source of the summons to Gundabad. But who or what is Narvan? And how to find out without exposing yourself? You realize the answer lies in the riotous crowd itself. Everyone has an opinion, and isn't afraid to share it. You could turn this to your advantage. The mass of malcontents doesn't hesitate to spout its every thought. You only need to find someone with something worth listening to.
So, are these supposed to be orcs? I guess they are. Very scarred up and bloody. And I just realized that we got new items because we were dressing up and pretending to be bad guys. I didn't think we'd actually get something that would affect the game just for accomplishing that goal, but inherently it does open up that door to every single scenario area could have had some kind of reward around it, and this is the first time we've really seen anything that had a in-game changing reward, really. A couple of places you end up with a character, but often that character appears and then disappears. We'll have to see what these items are that they're wearing. Enemy disguise. Reduce enemy to 1 attack. Grant ambush to each. Reduce every enemy to 1 attack. Grant ambush to each. So we just have an interesting twist here. We need to disguise every enemy disguise if a disguised character attacks, or play a summon, or if you play or summon a non-enemy trait ally. Which I guess these have enemy traits on them. Whatever that is even supposed to mean. Uncover rumors of Narvang. So what am I supposed to be doing here? Gather information about Narvang locked each round until you attack with an enemy trait ally. Shed 1 card each time. Goblins sneak deals damage on an attack. Guard upkeep summon 1 goblin runner. Well, this is weird because you can't just go on forever. Because your threat level will just keep going up and up. Summon 1 random enemy trait ally. Sauron summons 1 random enemy. Discard if enemy disguise leaves play. Interesting. We really don't have any other options. It almost seems like these guys aren't going to attack me. Vengeful Hillman and Goblin Diver. It seems like a Vengeful Hillman might be an enemy trait in character too. Alright, well, let's just start with this. We'll take power and see what this guy does. Welcome to Gundabad. Pause now if you want to read this. We'll do stir up trouble. Hillman Brute. Okay. So we can either just continue to put things in defense mode. Let's see if we can understand this again. There's just a lot of text and a lot of information here. Discard every enemy disguise if a disguised character attacks, or if your players summon a non-enemy trait ally. Okay. So I can attack with this, fine. I can attack with this, fine. Everything else that has a disguise on needs to be just in a defense mode. Which that is not too hard to do. Should probably put that in defense mode actually first.
Maggots, you're cooked.
Now this guy will attack, so it's probably just worth it to go ahead and kill this. Well, actually, I guess I could have attacked that, and then I would have had a surge action to attack that, so that was stupid of me. Oh, wait. This is gone. Problem now. I suppose the problem now is we've unlocked this. And so I think we're just going to have to opt to get rid of somebody. I'm not sure who. I feel like these enemy trait characters are gonna go away anyway, so I'm just gonna get rid of that. That may be a mistake, but I don't think storyline wise it makes sense if these characters would stay with you and fight on your side once you've been revealed. None of these have stalwart or anything. So why did this lock again? This is locked until you attack with an enemy trait ally. Okay. So I could do that. Okay. Let's kill that. Okay. So on this, we just have to start attacking this, and we're going to lose the disguise. So that is just gonna happen. Well, maybe not. Seems like we're not losing our enemy disguises when we use our willpower to progress in the same way. It does say discard enemy disguise if disguised character attacks, and so I guess technically this might not count as an attack. Problem now is we've got an issue there. If this guy does not what attachment did he just get rid of? Not the one you would have thought. If he doesn't hand me an enemy to fight each turn, I can paint myself in a bad position.
Come on, taste it again.
where I wouldn't be able to attack. So, next turn we keep ourselves we either keep these two characters or we lose all these characters. So, it might be wise to simply have in reserve resources for the next area. So let's see how we're gonna play this. I think you're safe at probably doing this. Okay. Now what are we looking for? Rile them up. Getting your foes to... I don't know what we're really supposed to be doing here. This is at 0, but it's still around. Nothing really seems locked. And I can't really read this text. So I assume I'm supposed to just attack this. We'll take this one. Yeah. So we now just have a secondary goal of getting this to 12. Is there anything beneficial in swapping and spending resources now, or should we just save the resources? I think we'll just save the resources. I don't even think this is going to be locked up, so these two on the end don't really matter. Okay, let's discard what is probably the least useful things. So 2, 3, 2, 5, 2, 4. Well, let's get rid of a 2, 4 then. Oh, we only had to discard one card anyways. Now we need to discard a card. Alright, we'll get rid of a pit goblin. They may very well just not choose to attack. So we'll just hit that. And then hit that. And then hit that. We still have the disguises. So we hit that, and that completes the goal. Alright, so is it worthwhile to even put it in defense mode? Probably. I'm just kind of protecting the health of my other characters. Do we have... Well, let's see. Goblin Driver would... I thought it says that would have readied an exhausted character. It didn't. Alright, well. Travel now. And at that point we lose the disguises, and they didn't tell me that was going to happen.
Narvang, the Black Scepter.
And we lost all of our
You've pieced together
enemy
the truth of
characters.
this foul thing. Created in Khan Dum using dark sorcery, Narvang is a mockery of the scepter wielded by the rulers of Arnor in ages past. Placed deep within Mount Gundabad, Narvang's influence will flow through the roots of both the Grey and Misty mountain ranges, spreading its dark power to call forth those who have the seeds of darkness within them. Narvang must be destroyed. That much is clear. But first you must find it. All you know is that it lies deep in the heart of Gundabad, past all manner of foul things stirred up by the Black Scepter's influence. Even worse, you lack the luxury of time to find your way through. The horde above is sure to be on your trail at any moment.
There's a weirdness, certainly, because they never establish who your characters are, that they are just this assortment of, one would assume, heroes that decided to be heroes one day. They have no backstory. They are faceless, nameless heroes. It gives Middle-earth the feeling that there's just a lot of busybody heroes and hero wannabes wandering around that end up in big adventures. And I guess there's something to that, certainly, as far as the Fellowship of the Ring and everybody coming together. Although I would say that's probably established a lot better in first establishing Frodo and Bilbo, and then later establishing Sauron and the threat of Sauron enough to justify the Fellowship of the Ring and everybody coming together to help Bilbo, or Frodo. I think it's Frodo. Okay. Navigate Gundabad to find your way through the cavern. This is not the final area. Zero resource gained to each player at the upkeep this round, which was probably the best reason ever to not have spent that extra resources. Lost in the dark. Summons one block path and one random hazard, location specific. Reset Horde of Gundabald. Deal 1 damage to every unit ignoring block. Strategic cave-in. Reset Horde of Gundabald, apply for progress to the player to one objective. Lock time. A number of random effects can occur, so it's not even really telling you what. Okay, well, whatever. Not even really understanding if I want to reset Horde of Gundabald or not. It seems like this is a number that's maybe just going to go up. Horde of Gundabald, different than Navigate Gundabald, I guess. That might be the thing to take from this.
On to adventure!
Character that can fly. Is likely going to be able to attack past guard anyways. +3 attack if player deck is 15 or fewer, if not gain counter. So in 3 turns, this one's going to have 3 attack. And we're probably not going to win in 3 turns. So I think I probably is a justification to try and kill that. And I can't play this to draw cards.
I will go alone.
I might have some trouble here, but it's going to take a while to even realize if I'm having trouble. Just giving more and more attack. Play that again.
Where are we going next?
Play that again.
No telling where you might be off to.
Put that in defense mode. So, you get 2 random effects? Is that the way this is going to go? That the number is going to go up higher each time? Yeah, that may be how this works. Once this goes to 15, next turn we might as well play this and draw more cards. May still be kind of alright though. Gain guard, counter, and vanquish. It's probably worth having all of that. Nope, that was not worth having all of that. This guy's now all powered up. Fronto's intuition's not going to work for us.
Your troubles.
Let's do this.
I would need 3 turns of getting extremely lucky. Plus, this guy has stealth at the beginning, but as soon as I attack, he is going to lose that stealth. So I don't see a way that you win here. And it sucks that you can't really go back and just reset everything and go back and play the previous section a second time. Gandalf might be the one to play the move. Okay, whatever. We'll try this and see what this does. Just for educational purpose. So that resets that.
There is no veil between me.
And there you lose. We'll try a second time, But even if we did get past this point, this isn't the final conflict.
I will take the ring, though I do not know the way.
Coming, Mr. Frodo! Coming!
Where are we going next?
Right. Perhaps the smart move to start with is to attack with this. Well, actually, I could have attacked with that since that was arranged. But whatever.
You show me the way up, or I'll skin you.
That kills one. And then that loses one. We can put self-preservation on this guy. We can throw this character
Where
out
are we
there.
going next?
And guess we'll put this in defense mode. And then let's just kill this.
I will go alone.
In the turn. So maybe I could have played slightly differently. But not really by much. We now have this deadly character. Although, I guess technically this is the only one to have to deal with. So, A2 now, or get rid of resource first.
Quiet life, maybe later.
Grant one resource every time a hazard is resolved. Well, this will resolve the hazard. Give me another resource. Well, 2 resources. Which then lets me play this character.
Quiet life, maybe later.
So we put that in defense mode. You hit this. You hit this. I guess I could have also attacked.
My shots never miss.
This guy. More of a setup.
My adventure ends here.
So we can kill this guy.
Let's do this.
Which I guess that's the right move. Already at 14, so probably wouldn't be a terrible idea to
I will go alone.
play this and draw some more cards. Frodo's intuition played twice. It's probably not going to do enough for me. This guy's gonna die. Almost certainly. We definitely don't have enough to play Gandalf. Yep. Unfortunately, this is really just as far as we can go.
I am your servant.
I would need to be able to rewind to the previous section and make some progress that way first. And then I could possibly have set myself up better for the depths of Gundabad. For progress to one objective. Let's see. Do that.
Get moving or feel the lash.
Do that.
My adventure ends here.
Oh yeah, we're just not getting anywhere close to finishing this, and there's no other fate trick here that can really be played. And trying to keep the field clear isn't going to work. Seems like mostly this gives different Horde cards. Whether it's Horde's Bulk or Horde's Fury with the same art. So it's hard to tell visually at a glance whether even something different is even happening. Yeah, I would have to just use my stealth to end a turn. To end my turn, to end my turn, to end my turn. And so there might be some stupid achievement around not doing anything at all for multiple turns. But I dare not defend, otherwise I die. I dare not attack, otherwise I die. There is perhaps some thought here that if you had self-preservation, this would heal yourself up enough that you could skip one, maybe two turns. pretty obviously you need to build a very custom deck for this challenge. You have to have those special cards to destroy the artifact in the first area. Now you need special cards that in some way would protect you long enough to be able to do that much damage. Even if I could summon Gandalf twice in a row, it still wouldn't be enough progress. This one I don't think even really does progress. It does draw 3 cards, deal 3 damage, or reduce 3 threat. So if I played it twice in a row, I can reduce the threat down. Yep. Almost everything about this card game is really just basic stuff you would have taken from Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone, Yu-Gi-Oh! Take your pick of any classical CCG. Magic the Gathering is probably the one that to mention most, since it's the oldest card game. And the only real difference in gameplay is that you don't immediately lose when you run out of cards, or start taking damage when you run out of cards. Instead, you have this threat level, which is just nothing. Yeah, and it literally doesn't matter what I do.
To ease your troubles.
Threat level's gonna get to 50, you're gonna lose. If anything, there's just as valid of an argument to have the player win if they make it 50 rounds as there is an argument for the player to lose after having a threat level of 50 show up, if it's not really 50 rounds. And yeah, we don't know what we would have won there, but it almost certainly is just 2 cards of really no value. So we didn't get all the way to seeing everything for Feast of Trolls. We didn't get all the way to seeing everything for Gundabad Awoken. I think that's the case. Let's see.
To lose fire.
Yeah.
It would be the death of you
Let's
to
see
come
if this
with me.
is the final encounter.
Frodo, coming!
I think this actually was the final encounter because you have these massively high health. Nope. This is not the final encounter. So yeah. There's at least one more area for Feast of Trolls. There's at least one more area for Gundabad Awoken. And if I had accomplished those 2 things, it really would have just given us a couple thousand more points, fellowship points. Nothing unlocks any more adventures as far as I can tell, and I really just have to assume that this game, based on posts on its own forum and the fact that there's just nobody really playing, insignificantly small numbers of people playing multiplayer, and the fact that you have these card backs that say coming soon, I have to assume that this is never coming soon, or this already happened and was some kind of pre-order bonus, and now it's just labeled as coming soon. Yeah. I think you very easily describe this as an abandoned game. It has some really wavy lines on the highlights. Far too many microtransaction, even if it isn't actual real world money, elements in this game when you could have given new emotes and new icons at random as random awards, or had a longer skill system, so every 10 fellowship points you earned, or the equivalent of that, you would have unlocked a new avatar. Like, you really want players to have the avatars and things. You don't want to lock that but behind in-app game, in-app or in-game currency, which we only got to 60,000 for. Because if you did lock it behind in-game currency like this, then you've created your own problems now, where people who are playing multiplayer are all going to have the exact same avatars, and the level of customization that appeals to people will just not be available to them until they play a ton of single player, which there's very possibly people who only wanted to play multiplayer and not single player. Let's see. Multiplayer journey. Let's just see if there's actually anybody. Refresh host list. Nope. Nobody online. Very possibly the servers are just permanently down too. So, since I'm never going to play this game again, and I really can't recommend it to even the most hardcore of Lord of the Rings fans, let's buy this. Nothing big happened there for purchasing that. We heard a sound effect. And then same sound effect if you buy 2 copies of that. Doesn't seem like you get an initial achievements for unlocking your first purchase. There's nothing better you can really do than unlock cards. I have spent, seems like somewhere around 40 hours at least playing this game, and we are pathetically going to be left with many pages of cards we can't purchase. There's still one hero, which honestly you should have probably saved up for this extra hero that would cost 50,000. And then 4 cards. We have 2 pages I was able to purchase items on, and then by the time you're at the 3rd page, you're in trouble. So 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, plus another 16, plus another 5 would be 21, and another 2, and another 2, 25, and another 3, and another 2, and we'll add 1. Okay. So at that point, we're about halfway through. There's about 30 cards. 30 times 2 would be 60. Double that because we only went halfway. And you're estimating here 120,000 fellowship points are needed to purchase all of the remaining cards in this, plus 50,000 to purchase the other hero. So, yeah, 170,000 fellowship points, 3 times as much success than what I have had so far. Another 80 hours potentially of gameplay required to unlock everything, and there is nothing in this game that justifies that at all. Not a single one of these unlockable cards are that good to even be worth 2,000. They might have 1 more willpower or 1 more health. There really has not been any point in this game where it felt like if only I had a minion with 1 more health or 1 more willpower, I would win. I really would have liked the quick play elements to potentially have more options as far as randomizing. Yeah, and I guess I could sit here for another 20 minutes and complain about just the lack of polish on this game and how grindy and slow it is. I think they probably did the right thought, or they had the beginning of a good thought with the narration and the visuals and trying to appeal to Lord of the Rings fans. But the actual card game, the thing that would have had to have been the worm on the hook, is just not here. And the actual scenarios are not polished at all. This might as well have just been a visual novel that just told me the entirety of the Lord of the Rings, and it would have been potentially as good, if not better. And at a certain level, it is very questionable, why do we not have interactive comics / visual novels telling us and reenacting the events of books? Particularly when you're starting to think about like old books like Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, there's at least one copy in every library in the United States. I'm sure of it. So anybody that wanted to actually read the books has all the opportunity in the world to read it for free. And anybody who wants to purchase Lord of the Rings, the book, is not going to not purchase it if there was a visual novel version or an animated comic type version of Lord of the Rings. So why not make a visual novel if you can't do anything better? At a certain level, Lego Lord of the Rings does do exactly that, because they make a parody Lego version of the Lord of the Rings stories, but they still don't really tell you any of the dialogue. If anything, the Lego Lord of the Rings game is based off of the Lord of the Rings movie, so it's a copy of a copy of a copy. But you could certainly have a near word-for-word visual novel of Lord of the Rings and put in some fancy art and sell that. And maybe it would sell even worse than I imagine this game did. Ironically, the best-selling Lord of the Rings game, in my opinion, still is Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, its sequel, both of which tell a completely new story that was not written by Tolkien at all and are incredibly violent games. And in fact, Shadow of Mordor could easily have not been set in Middle Earth, and it would have been just as good of a game. I suppose that is a testament to the large gap there is between action described in a book many decades ago, that was written many decades ago, versus action that is depicted in an interactive medium like a video game, or even in TV and movies, non-interactive mediums like TVs and movies. Anyways, that's going to be the end of this series. If you made it this far, thank you. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to support me further, there's some links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.